everybody, welcome to Tales at 2. I'm Miss Erin. I'm going to give you all a couple seconds to everybody who has been donations we've been getting while we're closed. If there's any new folks out there, thank you for joining us today. Hopefully you learn a little bit of something. You join us again tomorrow. Tales at 2 has been a whole lot of fun to present. We've been meeting new people along the way. So feel free to ask questions as we go along. If you're watching this later, not live, if you're watching the replay, feel free to ask questions then too. We can answer back in the feed as we go. So today we are talking about, is it an insect? So we're going to be discussing whether something is an insect or an arachnid. So everybody knows bugs, but there's lots and lots of different kinds of bugs out there. We just give them the nickname of bugs. But some of the things that we see along the way are arachnids, spiders. We also have insects. So insects are beetles out in the world. So we're going to be deciding what makes those guys unique from one another. You may notice my cat. Ignore her. She's very interested in what we're doing. All right, so down here we've got our board. All right, and we are going to try to figure out which things go into which location. So and we might have a little bit of a delay as we're going, so feel free to answer as we go. But we're going to start out with numbers of legs. So our friends, the arachnids and insects, have different numbers of legs. One of them has 8 legs and one of them has 6 legs. Does anybody know which group has 8 legs? Is it arachnids or insects? That's a tough one. Give you all a couple seconds. So our friends, the arachnids, or the guys that we commonly think of as spiders, are the ones with 8 legs, and insects have 6 legs. So they both have a lot more legs than we do, but they do have different numbers of legs. So if you come across something that has 8 legs, you're going to know that is an arachnid. If you come across something with 6 legs, you're going to know it is an insect. All right, we also have the number of body sections. So one of these groups has 2 body sections. 3 body sections. Does anyone know which one has 3 body sections? Nobody's answering me today? That's okay. All right, so our friends...
Arachnid.
So insects actually have 3 body sections. So if you look at an insect, you're going to see their head, their thorax, and their abdomen. If you're looking at an arachnid, you're going to see 2 body sections, the cephalothorax and the abdomen. So you're going to see 2 separate sections for the arachnids, 3 separate sections for the insects. All right, so which of these guys have antennas? So one group has antennas, the other group does not have antennas. Anybody know? Give you all a second to answer. So our friends, the arachnids, do not have antennae. You're not going to see an arachnid with any antenna on his head. Our friends, the insects, do have antennas. So they're using their antenna to sense different things. The arachnids do not need that ability, so they do not have antennas. All right, which of these 2 guys have the ability to fly? Do insects fly or do arachnids fly? So if you're an insect, you're going to have the ability to fly. Not every type of insect can fly, but the majority of them do have wings and can fly. No spiders are able to fly, thank goodness, because I'm not the biggest fan of spiders. So those guys are not able to fly. But most of our insect friends, if you see somebody with wings, he is probably going to be an insect. All right, next is eye structure. So one of these groups has a simple eye. So that's an eye similar to ours. They might have multiple of them, but they have a simple eye. The other group has a compound eye. That means their eye is broken up into different pieces. All right, does anyone know which one has the simple eye? Is it the arachnid or is it the insect? All right, our friends, the arachnids, actually have the simple eye. They have 8 of them. They have 8 eyes, but they are simple eyes. And our friends, the insects, have compound eyes. So their eyes are broken down into different facets. Kind of like if you've ever seen the crystallized things that you can spin around and look through. Kind of similar to that. All right, now we're doing mouth parts. So all of these guys have to eat, right? The different insects are going to eat differently, but they all have kind of similar mouth parts to one another. And our arachnids all have similar mouth parts too. So one of the groups has a piercing mouth part. The other group has a chewing or a sucking mouth part. So which one has the piercing mouth part? Is it our friends the arachnids or the insects? Piercing mouth parts. Anybody know? So a mouth part is like we have our teeth in our mouths, right? A mouth part is something that's helping them eat their food. So our friends the arachnids have the piercing mouth part, and insects usually have a chewing or a sucking mouth part. So if they have a chewing mouth part, they might be eating other insects, or they might be eating leaves, right? If they have a sucking mouth part, they're going to be something that's maybe getting nectar from a flower, or maybe they're sucking blood from something else, like mosquitoes and things like that. All right, now let's do our jaw type. So one of these guys has something called a chelicerae, a fang-like appendage, and one of them has a mandible, or most of them have a mandible in this group. So who has the fancy word, the chelicerae? Is that arachnids or insects? What do you guys think? Fang-like mouth part. So our friend the arachnid has the fang-like mouth part, right? He's piercing into his food. And our group of insects, most of them have mandibles, right? Our friends that have the sucking mouth part might not have a mandible. They're not really chewing. Instead, they're going to have something like a butterfly does, a proboscis instead. All right, we've got one left. So one of these groups goes through metamorphosis. Might be a different kind of metamorphosis. The other one does not. So metamorphosis is the change, right? So you guys might know metamorphosis from frogs, right? Frogs change from egg to tadpole, right? To frog, right? These guys are going to switch over too. So our friends, the insects, go through some kind of change. Sometimes it's a complete metamorphosis, like the butterflies or the moths do. They change from the caterpillar into the butterfly. Sometimes it's called incomplete. They're just kind of changing into a larger size rather than completely changing. But our friends, the arachnids, they don't have any more metamorphosis at all. All right, any questions, guys? Do you know a little bit more about insects and arachnids now?
Amy Hollinger Franklin actually responded correctly to a lot of your questions.
Oh, nice.
And Laura Janice Peterson has been giving you kudos throughout the presentation.
Oh, thank you. All right, so one more thing I want to do with you guys. I have a couple fake critters, and we're going to try to figure out whether these guys are arachnids or insects. So the best way to tell, and a lot of times if you're looking at a picture or even an insect that you, or a bug that you find, you might not be able to see the mouth parts. You may not be able to notice that kind of stuff. But the number of legs, or whether it has wings or not, is really a good way to tell. So to remind you guys, arachnids have 8 legs, right? These guys are not going to have wings. If you're an insect, you're going to have 6 legs, and you may have wings, right? The other one to tell an insect is they're going to have antennas. So if it's a guy that has wings or antennas or 6 legs, probably going to be an insect. If it's got 8 legs, it's probably going to be an arachnid. So we're going to start out with an easy one. My friend the spider. Is he an arachnid or an insect? All right, so our friend the spider is definitely an arachnid. As you guys can see, he has 8 legs. And it sort of in my picture looks like he might have antenna, but those are actually his mouth parts, right? This is how the spider is catching his food. So sometimes when you look at something you found, it might look like it has antenna, but it might just be a funny looking mouth part. I've got the fly. So the telltale sign for our friends that fly, right, are those wings. So anytime you see a wing on a bug, you're gonna know that is definitely an insect. But you can also notice on this guy, he has 6 legs. All right, ladybug. So we all know that ladybugs fly, but you can't necessarily see their wings when you find them, right? But if you check her out, our ladybug here, 6 legs, and we've got some antennas going on too. So this is definitely an insect. All right, let's switch over to this one, and it's something that I bet a lot of you guys have seen before. Our friend the tick. Dun dun dun. Our friend the tick, a lot of times people think they're insects, but if you check out my photo here, he's got 8 legs. So this guy is definitely an arachnid. All right, so he is related to our friend the spider. They don't look a whole lot like each other, but if you check out the number of legs, no antennas, no wings, our friend the tick is an arachnid. All right, we've got our butterfly. So our butterfly is definitely an insect. It has wings, so it's able to fly just like a lot of the other insects are. All right, who else did I got here? All right, we've also got the moth, who is similar to the butterfly. He's going to be able to fly, but the thing that stands out most in our friend the moth is he's got those giant antennae, right? So we know that all the insects are going to have the antenna to help them sense things. All right, I've got a couple more, and all my other friends that I have, and I'll just show them all together so we don't have to do them all separate. All of these guys are also insects. So they're a very, very diverse group of critters, right? We've got lots of insects that do like to fly. Our ants sometimes trick people because they a lot of times have very long antennae, right? So these guys' antennae are mistaken for legs sometimes, but our friends, the ants, are definitely insects. And all of the beetles are insects too. So some beetles are very good at flying. You can see their wings when they fly around. All right. Another way that we didn't really talk too much about was the number of body segments, right? You can see it really well in my beetle here, right? He's got his head, he's got his thorax, he's got his abdomen. He's got 3 separate body sections. If we go back to my friend the spider compares, right? He just has a head and he has his cephalothorax. He has 2 separate pieces of his body. All right. So to finish up this afternoon, if you guys don't have any more questions, I've got some cool bugs that we can check out. So all of the guys that are in here are all insects, and you're all going to ask me what kind they are. I actually don't know. Someone donated these to us. But they are very cool insects that do not live in New Jersey. So we always think they're really cool because they're very brightly colored. They're much bigger than the insects that we have around here. So in warmer climates, a lot of times the bugs get to be very, very big. So if you guys kind of check it out, a lot of these bugs are almost the size of my thumb, right? So they're all beetles. They all have wings. They all have the 6 legs and the antennas. But some of them you can see the mouth parts on. If you guys all can check out the crazy looking mouth parts or mandible on this guy. He's going to definitely be an insect that is eating other insects with those mouth parts. All right, let's check out how long the antennae are on that dude. All right, I also brought with me today, this is also not a New Jersey native guy. He's about as big as my hand. It's a type of tarantula, which is a very large spider, an arachnid. All right, and you can definitely check out with him. He's got the very long legs, and with him he has very big mouth parts. So those are actually going to help him grasp or grab the other animals that he is trying to eat. In the case of this guy, it's mostly other insects, but he could even eat something as large as a mouse or something like that too. All right. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to finish up for today. And again, if you are watching this on replay, feel free to ask any questions about our lesson today. Thank you everyone for joining us. As you all know, our nature center is still closed. We're hoping it'll be opening again soon. But our hiking trails and our animal housing area, as well as our wildlife hospital, do remain open. So hopefully if you find a nice day and some free time, you can head on out to Cedar Run. All right, have a good day everyone. Bye-bye.